Kulubinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tawenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news, Fiji's debt at manageable level. Walesi platform to boost TV services in the country. And boost for police and corrections officers in peacekeeping missions.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
The Economy Minister has assured the nation that our $5 billion national debt is not only normal, but more importantly, quite manageable. Aya Said Kayum says on a normal basis, government debt has increased over the past few years, but as a percentage of the gross domestic product or GDP, debt has consistently reduced over the years and is expected to reduce to a comfortable 45% by the end of this financial year.
Explaining in layman's terms how the country's debt works out, Minister for Economy Aya Said Kayum said Fiji's operating expenditure currently stands at a ratio of 60:40 as opposed to 83:7 prior to 2006.
When the Bainimarama government came to office in 2007, Fiji's debt to GDP ratio was around 52%. As at the end of April 2017, Madam Speaker, the debt ratio stands at 44%. Our medium target is to keep this ratio below 50%, Madam Speaker.
Said Kayum says 70% of Fiji's debt is onshore and 30% is offshore, which is sustainable, and the tenor of debt locally is about 20 years.
Fiji's total outstanding debt at the end of April, Madam Speaker, stands at $4.5 billion, of which $1.3 billion is external loans and $3.2 billion is domestic loans. This demonstrates the fact, Madam Speaker, or the point that I made, that the nominal value of debt has increased. However, which they don't understand, the debt to GDP ratio has declined.
Opposition MP William Ngavoka then questioned the way in which the government measures its debt.
I wonder if the Honourable Minister can ask World Bank, given our vulnerabilities to the elements, what is a better way of measuring the relativity between debts and the revenue capacity of a country?
You don't expect a World Bank person to make such a statement in such a frivolous manner. It is not a frivolous manner. In fact, it's very rare for organizations such as the World Bank and IMF to make actual calls on the economies of individual countries in such a public manner.
Sayed Kayum also says in order to have a strong footing and foundation in the economy, we need to build the capacity.
We don't just live up till next year. They're just living up to the elections. That's the point. We, as any government, Madam Speaker, any responsible government, should not only think about the term of its government.
The work on Fiji's National Development Plan continues, and the minister says Fiji is working closely with the World Bank and the World Research Institute to help us climate sensitize our development plan so that we are aware on what needs to be done in 20 years' time to help low-lying areas. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Satellites will be used to provide digital TV services to the remotest parts of Fiji. Communications Minister Aya Said Kayum told Parliament today the switch from analog to digital will begin in December and be over by July next year.
Digital TV trials began in 2016 and the government has now committed to using satellites to reach far-flung areas like Rotuma and the Lau Group.
We have parts of Viti-Levu even, with terrestrial coverage, they don't get any coverage. So they need satellite coverage. So you could be in a gully somewhere in Nandarivatu and you won't get terrestrial coverage. But what we intend to do with this digital rollout through government is that all those areas will be covered even by satellite transmission. And this satellite transmission will give free-to-air coverage to all of these users.
Access will remain free and also allow Fijians to use the internet via the satellite services. 4,000 people in Suva, Nandi and parts of Lautoka are using the digital TV platform on a trial basis with the full rollout around Fiji at the end of the year. Sayed Kayum pointed out that taxpayers aren't paying for any of these investments.
We started a few years ago, an Honourable Minister for Education was the chair of Commerce Commission, where we charged a small fee, about 1 or 2 cents, for incoming international calls. And that fee has accumulated into a trust account, and we're using monies from that to be able to invest in this area that will give access to all Fijians.
Opposition MP Professor Biman Prasad tried to allude that Walesi was being run by Fiji Broadcasting Corporation. This was shot down by the Attorney General.
FBC is managing Fiji's digital TV and we have no problems. Project overseen by the Department of Communication.
It's not managing. It's separate to FBC. I've said it in my statement.
Yeah, but okay, that's a clarification.
Walesi will also set up 17 new transmitter sites across Fiji to ensure full coverage. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Police and correction officers who serve in overseas missions will now have access to the Fiji Servicemen's Aftercare Funds. This as Parliament unanimously passed the amendments to the Fiji Servicemen's Aftercare Fund of 1944. In the past, only those police and corrections officers who had served with the Fijian military in overseas missions were eligible for the fund.
Should Parliament approve this amendment, we of course will be getting rid of a discriminatory practice. And number two, it will enable us to be able to then factor into the budget as to what will be the cost implication. And this will come into effect from the 1st of August. It of course means that even though there may be police officers who served without the RFMF and have unfortunately passed away, their widows will also be entitled to whatever aftercare fund is their entitlement under the Act, under the current provisions.
As government now has brought it up in a form of amendment, it's now overdue. Probably after this they will be happy given that they've given their life, they risked their life for national duties and international duties, especially serving under the United Nations peacekeeping missions around the world.
Being a mother, a wife, a daughter, Madam Speaker, I feel the amendment will bring about a sigh of relief and a gift of hope and tears of joy for the sisters and mothers who have lost their husbands. And I feel that today, why the tears of joy? Because they will think that somebody has thought of them.
Fiji by 2020 has committed to expand the total forest conservation areas by 17% compared to the current 2.7. This was highlighted by the Forestry Minister Hossein Nangamu while responding to questions raised by the opposition side on the status of forests in the country. Forests cover almost 1.1 million hectares, covering 56% of the total landmass. Minister Nangamu explained 3 strategies that are to ensure long-term sustainability of forests and continue by saying the ministry is mindful on the importance of development of proper land use planning guidelines.
Support for private sector engagement in establishing forest plantations. Secondly, the enforcement of sustainable logging policy by implementing species-specific diameter limits. And thirdly, the plan to increase the protection of high-value forest stand under long-term forest conservation purposes. This is an ambitious target that will clearly demand the development of a sustainable financing mechanism similar to the Sobi Basin Endowment Trust Fund to cover for the long-term management cost.
42 volunteer firefighters have been absorbed as permanent workers by the National Fire Authority. When asked in Parliament this morning on the number of volunteer firefighters around the country, Local Government and Infrastructure Minister Pravin Bala said the remaining 54 will be recruited based on the minimum qualification requirement. Bala said the NFA has 6 community-based fire stations with volunteer firefighters trained by the NFA.
Madam Speaker, during my visit to the fire stations, the volunteer firefighters requested me if I can look into their salaries, and thereafter I requested the chairman of the National Fire Authority to look into this urgent issue. And Madam Speaker, I've been informed that all the volunteer firefighters' salary have been increased.
Technical colleges are not for students who are slow learners but are pathway to university. This has been confirmed by the Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy while providing an update on courses at technical colleges. Savarathambua has more.
It is important to understand that there is a brighter future for technical education. Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy highlighted in Parliament programs offered at technical colleges and how they can benefit those who have aptitude in technical areas.
We don't want to brand this technical college as initially that we had this notion about this vocational program, where anyone doing vocational program was seen differently, that these are slow learners or these are for rejects, etc., Madam Speaker. We want to get away from that. That's why, Madam Speaker, vocational program was not successful, because this negative connotation was attached to vocational program.
Questions were also thrown in from the opposition on how the ministry will be able to accommodate those students who are finding transport and accommodation difficult.
Students or those eligible to access this opportunity in Wainunu, in Solevo Secondary School, and from Lekutu are not accessible because of those problems.
And for that, that will be the campus where we'll have the dormitory ready early next year. So that. Madam Speaker, and for that matter, I just want to tell the honourable member, we are looking at constructing dormitories in other campuses as well, Madam Speaker.
In 2016, the ministry provided short courses from 2 to 6 weeks for more than 9,000 students. 548 students undertook short courses at village and settlement level. Short courses were also conducted for staff at the Water Authority and 34 prisons inmates. Sabara Tambua, FBC News.
Still to come, closing submissions presented in alleged rape case. And concert blast kills at least 22. Details after the break.
Nimbula vinaka na yalangunga andi moala rarala ranalika. O tikongona tau na singatoka. Ando talisaka na wakaronga ng Bula FM. Nambanduwa na sere.
Yadora subuli kurnambili. Iborani batukara hambara binaranga. Total takinan na warongan ng Bula FM. Number 2 en seri. Bula!
Bula FM number 2 en seri.
Heavy rain and strong winds experienced across certain parts of the country over the last 24 hours is expected to ease from tomorrow. Director Meteorology Services Ravin Kumar says a shallow trough of pressure that is slow moving over the group has been the cause for all the erratic weather. A flood alert remains in place for low-lying areas and small streams. Kumar says the weather should normalize to sunshine and clear skies from Thursday.
There is no need to be worry about that this system may develop into a tropical cyclone also. It is just accompanied with a heavy rain, which we have given the heavy rain warning in certain parts of the country, as well as it's got some associated strong winds, which is not going to be as strong as a gale force winds, but it will be just a strong winds that could be about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. And gusting about to 60 kilometers per hour, especially in the eastern parts of the country.
The prosecution and defense counsels made their closing submissions to the 3 assessors in the rape and murder trial of Choso Dolonandolu. He is charged with 4 counts of abduction, 6 counts of rape, 1 count of murder, and 1 count of indecently annoying a female. In one of Fiji's most inhumane crimes, he is alleged to have raped 4 girls, including a 14-year-old girl whose lifeless body was found by the beach at Dumba in March last year. Shireen Shivan reports.
Joshua Dolonandolu's lawyer Michael Fesaitu claims there's no direct evidence that Dolonandolu abducted, raped and murdered the 14-year-old girl. The lawyer claims Dolonandolu was continuously threatened and assaulted by police to make confession. Defense lawyer also claims that the court only heard circumstantial evidence of the 3 victims and the pathologist's evidence. He claims when the incident happened, the accused was drunk and sleeping at home. He also says had the victim not died, Dolonandolu would not be in court for 3 rape allegations. However, prosecutor Lee Burney says a rape trial is a cruel process and all 3 victims in this case are reliving the horrendous experiences. He also recalled the day when the second victim did not want to look at Dolonandolu and cried while giving evidence in court. Prosecution says it was a terrifying experience for the victim. He claims Dolonandolu has lied throughout the interview and the best evidence is his confession. Judge Justice Salesi Temo will sum up the case tomorrow. Shireen Shivan, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenghe Bainimarama says with the effects of climate change becoming a reality every day in the Pacific, he would like to see more action and awareness on the issue. Speaking at the Petersburg Climate Dialogue in Berlin, Germany, Bainimarama said the impacts of climate change can only be effectively tackled if the entire world comes together and acts in the interest of the most vulnerable. He said the sooner the issue takes root around the world, the quicker hope and security for our future generations can be provided. Bainimarama said with the intention of implementing the Talanoa concept in the COP23 presidency, he hopes it will build empathy and lead to decisions made for the collective good. He will be co-chairing with Sweden next month on the World Ocean Summit in New York, where he will emphasize the absolute imperative of a technological and business transformation to make the economic lives of people better. In an effort to improve the quality of life within communities in Fiji, the Ministry for Local Government today signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Commonwealth Local Government Forum. Minister responsible, Parveen Bala, says this will enable Fiji to quickly identify some challenging key areas that need to be addressed and also provide capacity building for various municipal councils.
Key areas include the strengthening of governance, service, quality and delivery. Multiple programs that supporting leadership, policy, guidance will be rolled out through this partnership. We will also support effective coordination of service delivery.
To assist member countries to improve quality of life for communities through improved good governance and improved service delivery.
Turning to world news, 22 people have been killed and more than 50 injured in a suspected terror attack at Manchester Arena. The blast happened this morning Fiji time following a pop concert by the US singer Ariana Grande. This from TVNZ.
It was meant to be a party with a pop princess.
Oh my God.
Instead, it turned deadly. Running, clambering for their lives.
That's when we heard an explosion. So I was like, we need to run. So we started running. We ran straight out the doors, all the way down to the hotel. And all I could hear was screaming, people crying. Everyone was just running everywhere. It was completely madness.
Tween Queen Ariana Grande had just finished her Manchester show, and many parents were waiting to pick up their children outside.
As I was waiting, an explosion went off and it threw me through the first set of doors, about 30 foot to the next set of doors. When I got up and looked round, there was about 30 people scattered everywhere. Some of them looked dead.
It happened in the centre of town. The concert was at the Manchester Arena that holds about 20,000 people. The explosion happened outside the foyer. That meant thousands ran to the train station trying to get away. It was mainly teenagers at the concert.
The problem was a lot of children were there without parents. There was no one to calm them down, so everybody was just screaming and crying and pushing.
Anti-terrorism investigators are at the scene.
We are currently treating this as a terrorist incident until we have further information.
Emergency services flooded the scene, blocking off the surrounding streets. Police also blew up an item, playing out on live TV.
As I was saying before, this is the whole thing. Wow. So that was the controlled explosion you were just talking about.
This is clearly a very concerning time for everyone. We're doing all that we can, working with local and national agencies to support those affected as we gather information about what happened.
For many, it's a night they'll never forget.
A concert for people to go and have fun, see their idol, and it's been ruined, really.
A concert that will be remembered for all the wrong reasons.
Ahead in sports with Jamie, he will have more on the big game in the Skipper Cup this weekend. But joining us next is Rachel with business.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Good evening, and coming up after the break. Fiji Airways makes its own business decisions, says government. And in growing Fiji, Lao School gets new boat. Stay with us.
I'm another sort of of Nayabu whenever I want to tune in to listen to great music, I always tune in to my favorite radio station, Gold FM, only the classic.
My name is Lita. We love listening to Gold FM here at the Fiji Hideaway Resort and Spa. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
We here at Tano Waterfront Lautoka love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. Civil Aviation Minister Aya Said Kayum says Fiji Airways is a limited liability company and they make their own procurement decisions. Responding to a question in Parliament on why passengers on Fiji Airways flights are denied complimentary reading of the Fiji Times, Said Kayum said the airline has its own independent board which makes commercial decisions. Said Kayum says tourists coming into the country can make their own choices of which newspaper they want to buy and read.
The reality is this: nobody is prohibited from bringing any reading material unless it's pornography onto the plane. They can bring any reading material, but the decision to have whichever products on the plane is a decision made by Fiji Airways.
And now here's Elizabeth from HFC Bank with some updates from the world markets.
In our economic calendar for this week, tonight, Great Britain will release the inflation report hearings, while on Wednesday, New Zealand will release their trade balance figure for the year-on-year to April. It is currently at a deficit of New Zealand $3.67 billion. And as for Thursday, the U.S. Federal Open Market Committee will publish its minutes. Investors will be focusing on this as they will look forward to any indications about how certain the Federal Reserve was that the first quarter weakness was temporary and any discussions of fiscal policy. Meanwhile, oil hits its highest level in more than a month ahead of OPEC meeting to be also held on Thursday. On Saturday, the U.S. will release their GDP annualized for the first quarter. It was previously reported at 0.7%. It will also release their durable goods figures for the month of April, which was earlier reported at 1.7%.
Thanks, Elizabeth. On to today's exchange rates. The Fijian dollar strengthened against the Chinese yuan and the American dollar to close at 3.24 and 47 cents respectively. And the Australian dollar followed suit, closing at 62 cents, while the New Zealand dollar dropped, closing at 66 cents, and the PNG Kina rose to close at 131. Onto the commodities market, the increase across the index continues, with oil prices closing at 51.3 cents a barrel. Gold closed at 1,260 an ounce, and silver rose to close at 17.14 an ounce. In Going Fiji tonight, students of Nakeleanga District School in Lao will now have the comfort of travelling to school in a boat. This was made possible after government handed over a boat and an engine to a school's head today. Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says the government is committed to ensuring every child has proper and safe access to education.
I want to assure you that this is not the end of assistance to your schools. We are continuously looking at how we can provide additional assistance. We got about 2,000 to 3,000 mattresses about 2 months ago. We have distributed to all the interior schools where there are hostels. Someone said to me there's about a container load of books are coming. I immediately said that as soon as we get it out, we start shipping those story books, reading books to schools in the interior and maritime.
And that's business this evening. Now to sports, and here's Jamie with the latest.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening. Coming up, only one training session for Fiji football side before first match against Solomons. And 6 Fijians to feature in French top 14 semi-finals this weekend. This and more after the break.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफरी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन टोटो पाबुआ के मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।
The Naitasiri rugby side will face the toughest of challenges when it takes on Nandrunga in the Skipper Cup competition this week. The Highlanders are the only unbeaten side after 3 rounds and faces traditional local rugby giants Nandrunga, who have only dropped 1 game this year. Rohit Deo tells us more.
3 wins out of 3, and Anita Siri rugby side wants to bag another this weekend.
It's been the goal for since the beginning of our preparation, but we've identified a few key areas that we need to work on, especially from our last 2 games.
Coach Kolisewambu says they will play their normal game, knowing Nanronga is beatable.
Nothing changes in terms of our preparation, but we're excited to play against Nanronga this week.
Into the middle once again. Nanronga President Tiko Matawalu says Naitasiri will be a tough nut to crack.
It is a very, very important match for us. We've lost 1 game already, and we're playing against an informed team, Naitasiri outfit, with a new look team with a new set of team coaching staff.
In other round 4 matches, Namosi takes on Matawata, Suva plays Northland while Malolo faces Nandi. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
At least 6 Fijian players are expected to feature for their respective teams in the T14 rugby competition semi-finals this weekend. The Vodafone Fiji football side will only have 1 training run before playing Solomon Islands in their first of 2 friendly matches on Thursday. The team has moved into camp with 2 days to recover from a hectic Vodafone Fiji FAC weekend. Rohit Deo with the story.
3 matches in 4 days has taken a lot out of the national players, and they've been given time to bounce back.
Time to prepare the team, we don't have. Now it's time to give rest and recovery. So by pool, ice bath, massage, this kind of thing. I will point more work, type of video work.
The Solomon Islands side has named a strong team to face Fiji, and national coach Christophe Gamel says they'll put in the best players to match the visitors.
We will face a very strong team, to be honest. It's a very good team, skilled, powerful and speed. So everything to give us so many problems.
28-year-old midfielder Ipeli Salkuru says preparation time may be limited, but the recovery program is helpful.
Very tiring too, but I know the programs that coaches have set. As you can see that most of us who just played on Sunday, we having our different session here, but with the physios, who they trying to keep us on shape so that we can recover well coming Thursday.
Fiji takes on the Solomon Islands at 7 p.m. on Thursday at Suva's ANZ Stadium. The second match will be played on Sunday at 3 p.m. in Lautoka. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
The dates and venue for the Vodafone Fiji FAC semi-finals and final have been confirmed. The semi-finals take place on the 17th of next month at Nausori's Ratu Thakambo Park, where Rewa will play Lambasa at 2 p.m. and Suva battles Nandi at 4:30 p.m. The final will be played on Sunday the 18th at 2:30 p.m. at the same venue.
We want to thank the fans who turned out in numbers at Vodafone Fiji FAC, and rest be assured, for the semi-finals of the Vodafone Fiji FAC, we will start selling tickets 2 weeks prior to the event. So by after first week of June, we will start selling tickets at the FAE headquarters and Nausori Town Council. So that
after nearly 2 decades, the New Zealand leg of the Sevens World Series will move from Wellington to Hamilton beginning next year. The move comes after spectator numbers continue to deplete at the Wellington event over the past few years. The Vanuatu football side had an impressive outing at the FIFA Under-20 Football World Cup in Korea, despite going down to Mexico 3-2. Down 2-0 at the break, Vanuatu struck 2 goals in a space of 10 minutes to level the score, but Mexico hit back and scored the winner in the 4th minute of injury time. That's it from sports this evening. Angie joins you later on with a weather update. And in the world of the weird and the wonderful, a look at the amazing new Sky Gardens in South Korea. Catch that after the break.
Bula, kera mai singa toka, kera ndo talita kana varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoi Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Usi kombinasyon mo tikola ndo talita kana Radio Fiji 1 kina Domoi Viti.
Ayaw ko yazo silil tale, nagurara may nawamanyi, nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gagawin na sibale, nagundurong varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoi Viti.
na Radio Fiji One na Dumoi Viti na Bonga ni BNN.
Security firms suggest the majority of machines hit by the WannaCry ransomware worm in a cyber attack earlier this month were running Windows 7. WannaCry started spreading in mid-May and so far has infected more than 200,000 computers around the world. And she joins us now with the very latest in weather.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. Rainy conditions has been the theme for the past couple of days and still prevail. A heavy rain warning remains in force for eastern parts of Vanuatu, Taveuni, Lomaiviti and the Lau Group, but is now cancelled for the eastern parts of Viti Levu. Also, a heavy rain alert previously in force for the rest of Fiji is now cancelled. Looking at today in the west, it was mostly cloudy with slight show of sunshine. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, it was much cooler plus windy and is likely to stay cloudy and rather wet. And up in Vanuatu, it was cloudy as well with an increasing chance of showers overnight. At sea, northwesterly winds 20 to 25 knots. And for the tides, low tide tonight will be at 10:30 with a high tide tomorrow morning at 4:43. Sunrise will be at 6:28. For tomorrow, the low pressure system that is spinning over us and drenching us, of course, is expected to move into open waters by tonight, which leaves us with settled conditions. Tomorrow's temps, it will be pretty cool as most centers will have temperatures in the high 20s. Looking further on to Thursday, it will be fine apart from few showers. You might want to keep that umbrella handy just in case. And before I go, I met a group of people who told me I don't mention Taveuni and Rotuma more often enough on the weather segment. So I'll just say it from here. Hello there, Taveuni and Rotuma. It's back to you, Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. On Fijian Pulse today, we asked, are potholes one of the major causes of vehicle damages?
Yeah, this is a major contributor. Because usually the more like we keep our vehicles properly, but the more safely you drive, you try your best to avoid potholes, but sometimes you have to jump across that, no?
Yes, I think so, because our potholes in Fiji are quite like, almost like lava pits. And the cars that are coming into Fiji are second-hand.
Damage their tires and whatnot. What next?
Of course, it damages vehicles. Shut up.
Recapping the main stories, Fiji's debt at manageable level, while Walesi platform to boost TV services in the country, and boost for police and corrections officers in peacekeeping missions. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, should plastic bag usage be banned in Fiji? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, today's shot of the day is all the way from Kandavu, sent in by Zoe Julie Pauriasi, the mellow sun going down, leaving behind an array of colors. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News, or you can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight from the team and I. Good night.
हमारा नाम संत कुमार है, हम रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता है और ताबुआ में सबसे बेहाल रेडियो फीजी 2 है यार।
हम बिना विमलेश रकाविंदी ताबुआ से रेडियो फीजी 2 हमारा सबसे फेवरेट स्टेशन है।
हमारा नाम ब्रूस राव है, रेकेरेकी मार्केट वेंडर और रेडियो फीजी 2 देश के धड़कन 1954 से हम सुनता है।
हम कबूली ताबुआ रहता है, हमारा नाम है रमेश चंद और हमारी मछली के धंधा है और हम सब टाइम रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता है।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।